you doing, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to another episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Michael Hudson, coming at you from Seattle, Washington. And if you didn't know, today marks our 1-year anniversary of the show. We're super excited to be here once again to celebrate with all of you and talk sports this week. So, as with every show, we are joined by some good people all over the country. So without further ado, I'll be doing the introductions. Our first is coming out of Alexandria, Virginia. We have Mr. EJ Gonzalez.
What's up, everyone? What's up? And happy first anniversary of the home edition. Thanks for sticking with us, everyone.
Yes. And from Washington, D.C., my good friend, Ken Cruz.
Yo, yo, yo. Happy 1 year, guys. Lakers currently at 5th place, falling down, but LeBron and AD are going to be back soon. They'll be climbing back up. Don't worry, defending champs.
All right. And introducing our brand new panelist, first time ever, making his introductory panelist showing on our 1 year anniversary of the show from Vegas, Brian Sansang.
Thanks for the intro, Mike. What's going on, everybody? I am so glad. I am hyped to be here. Very excited. No better timing for me to come than to come on the 1 year anniversary of EBC Sports.
Yes, I love it. Welcome. Good to have you. So thanks for being here, guys. And again, before we go on, we just want to remind you that all of us are by no means experts, but rather a good group of friends sharing our opinions and passions of the world of sports. But before we get into our main topics, we do want to catch you guys up on some recent sports news. So first off, we have EJ, who will be giving us a quick update from Augusta National, where the Masters is taking place. EJ, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Yep, another major title is up for grabs this weekend in the Masters tournament at Augusta, Georgia. Now, last year, the Masters was held in November without any spectators because of the outbreak of the pandemic. But this year, it's back to its regular schedule in the spring, and a limited amount of patrons are also out there in attendance. I don't know if you guys saw, but my quarterback, Ryan Fitzmagic, was out there showing love to the golfers. But Mike, I'm sure you and I can both attest that this year's Masters just isn't the same without Tiger out there on the course. And Justin Thomas spoke on a text that he received from Tiger before entering this tournament. Tiger said his situation is now really finally starting to settle in, and that he's just bummed not to be out there. But for those golfers who are competing, Augusta National, and it wasn't kind to the majority of the field throughout the first 2 days. In round one, the one guy who stood out was Justin Rose, who recorded a 65 7-under par. Brooks Koepka, who's coming off a recent surgery and has to do like this Spider-Man-like pose to get low to read the greens. He recorded a 74, but said that his knee wasn't the issue and that he's just not playing well. And Jordan Spieth, who won last week's PGA Tour event in Texas, recorded a 71 in the first round. Now, Rory McIlroy, looking to complete his career Grand Slam for major tournaments, he struggled in round 1 and 2. And last year's champion, Dustin Johnson, also struggled through the first 2 rounds. So McIlroy, Johnson, along with Koepka, and even Phil Mickelson, all finished under the projected cut line. At the conclusion of day 2, Justin Rose started off cold with 4 bogeys in the front 9, and then heated back up to record an even score for the day to stay 7 under par and atop of the leaderboard. Mark Leishman, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, and Tony Finau are a few of the big-name competitors who made strides on the leaderboard today and are just 2 to 3 strokes back from Rose. And some others still in the hunt include Xander Schauffele, Cameron Smith, my guy, Colin Morikawa, and Bryson DeChambeau. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, E. Really appreciate it. And now a huge trade in the NFL happened earlier this week. Ken, what's the scoop?
Yes, sir. So Sam Darnold's woeful days as the New York Jets quarterback have come to an end as he's been shipped to the Carolina Panthers. The 23-year-old former number 3 overall pick from USC of the 2018 draft was traded to the Panthers for a 2021 6th-round pick, plus 2nd and 4th round selections in the 2022 draft. The Panthers still have Teddy Bridgewater on the roster, but hope that their new addition will take the starting spot right away. Darnold will come under the tutelage of former Baylor head coach Matt Rule, who looks like a vast improvement from his Jets coaches in Todd Bowles and Adam Gase. Darnold had a rough 2020 season. In 12 starts, Darnold threw 11 interception touchdowns, 2,208 yards passing. Since entering the NFL in 2018, Darnold ranks last in completion percentage, touchdowns to interceptions ratio, and passer rating. The Panthers are in a rebuild stage and do have the number 8 pick in this year's draft. They haven't ruled out drafting another QB, which would make things interesting, but chances are they're looking to fill in holes, which there's quite a bit of holes right now in Carolina in their roster. The Jets have the number 2 overall pick in a QB-heavy draft lottery, so they'll be looking for their franchise's new face in the April 29th NFL draft. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Ken. So, and lastly, we have a peculiar story in Atlanta, Georgia, where NBA retired great Shaquille O'Neal was shopping at a Zales jewelry store and noticed a young man buy an engagement ring for his soon-to-be fiancée. Shaq didn't hesitate at all. He brought out his black card and gave it to the cashier, telling him that he would be purchasing the ring for the young, hardworking man, as Shaq explained in a recent interview. He also said, "This is something I do every day," adding that he and his mother were recently furniture shopping, and he offered to pay for a mom who had an autistic daughter. I'm into making people happy, so whenever I leave the house, I just try to do a good deed, and I end quote. So that's now you're all caught up with some of the updates from the world of sports. We're gonna take a quick break, and me and the guys will get right into our basketball discussion. So don't go anywhere. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
Kickoff.
This much is certain. Something is coming. The fact check for the kickoff of the Bundesliga. Who are the favorites? Who should be nervous? And where might surprises be lurking? We dare to look ahead to the new season.
Kickoff.
Broadcast journalist Wayne De La Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita alas 7 ng umaga mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Wayne De La Fuente sa Balit Talakayan.
Look to NHK World Japan for news of the coronavirus outbreak across the globe. You'll find updates and insights in the specialized section of our website. Catch up with programs on your schedule through the free video on-demand service. Learn how to stay in shape and maintain your health deliciously. Ready when you are. NHK World Japan.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's now time to talk NCAA basketball. So this past Sunday and Monday, we had 2 championship games. In the girls division, we had Stanford versus Arizona in a nail-biting final where Stanford defeated Arizona by 2 points. And we also had in the men's side, the undefeated Gonzaga Bulldogs, my team, by the way, who were just absolutely manhandled and destroyed by the Baylor Bears in Monday's men's final. So we're going to start with our newbie, Brian. Let's hear your thoughts about either of the games. Which one were you impressed? Any surprises during the girls or the men's matchup?
Well, Mike, I'll start out with the first one, which would be the women's championship title with Stanford and Arizona. So like you said, that was absolutely a nail-biter of a game. It came down to the wire up until the final possession, I think, with Ari McDonald. So my only gripe, what could have been a game winner for Arizona to have potentially got the win, was because you saw that Erin McDonald, she came up, this is probably some chills or some nerves coming up to her, but she could have passed that ball. She was triple teamed by three of us Stanford players, and she could have passed that ball. It could have been a better shot, and they could have potentially got the game winner. There was a good amount of time left. There was, I think, like 5.6 seconds left on the clock. That was plenty of time, in my opinion, that where they could have got an open shot. But either way, it was definitely a wire-to-wire game that I had a lot of fun watching. But on the other side, in men's basketball for the NCAA, that game was also a good one, but kind of lopsided, if I can say so. It was a blowout right from the very beginning. You know what I mean? Right from the very beginning, they set that tone. You know what I mean? The Bears set that tone right from the very beginning of the first half, and it showed. I don't think there was a deficit bigger than 10 points for the entire game. There was a point where the lead ballooned to something like 20-something points, and that's kind of unheard of for an NCAA championship game. But it was great to see these future NBA prospects really put it all down on the line for that final game of the season. And honestly, I want to see what they have in store for the future for some of these players.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it was totally eye-raising, especially that men's final. So, EJ, I don't know which side you want to talk about, but I wanted to give you the and have you share your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'll talk about both. But Brian brought up some really good points on the women's that I was going to bring up. I didn't like that final possession from Arizona. There's actually 6.1 seconds left on the clock. Plenty of time to do something. They had the timeout. They called a timeout. They had to have drawn a play, and that play that they ran was not a good one. McDonald did have that hot hand. She was the one who was keeping them, Arizona, in contention with Stanford. Every time Stanford was going on a run, McDonald was the one who's carrying Arizona on her back, and she had the hot hand, and they found her on the final possession, which is obviously the smart thing to do. But I just didn't like what ended up happening after they got her the ball. Like Brian said, Stanford triple teamed her. And if she had just looked up, she would have seen that open teammate right near the basket, would have been an easy basket, and they would have won the game, or at least tied it and go to overtime. But instead, she just dribbled it for way too long. She gets trapped, and then eventually even faces away from the basket. So now when she has to shoot it, she has to turn around, she has to fade, she has to heave a bad shot. I just think it was lucky that it even hit the rim. I think McDonald was lucky to even hit rim because she did not look like she was in control. No control on that shot, and it was really just a prayer by the time she left her hands. And like I said, bad final possession. And Stanford, I think, was fortunate to come out with a victory over there in the women's tournament. Now, like you, Mike, I had Gonzaga winning it all in the men's tournament, man. When I filled out my bracket, I was like, Gonzaga. I had my whole bracket wrong. But Gonzaga was the only thing right all the way up to the championship, right? Undefeated record coming into the game, and I was hyped. I loved what I saw from Jalen Suggs and Drew Timme coming into the final game, and they're fun to watch. But Baylor pounced on them early, never looked back. I mean, their defense was smothering, and I think they were even shooting a high percentage from beyond the arc, if I'm not mistaken, that first half. That they really blew up the score just in that first half, and they just beat them. There were times when I thought Gonzaga would start making a run, and then Baylor's defense just showed up again. Yeah, I got to give it up to Drew Timme and Jalen Suggs. Like I said, they were really the ones keeping Gonzaga in that game, and Jalen really showed heart. If you see, he never gave up, even though they were down big. He really gave it his all. Ended up crying at the end of the game. But, when in college sports, there's just so much passion, so much grit. These guys aren't getting paid for this. This is what they love to do. They're out there trying to make a name for themselves. And, they need to be happy with the season that they did, Gonzaga. A historic season, just couldn't tie the knot at the end. But great win for Baylor, definitely. Well-deserved one.
Absolutely. So, Ken, can you kind of just share with us, what were your takeaways from the women's and men's final as far as like, why do you think they were successful in winning both Stanford and Baylor?
Sure. Well, I mean, starting for the women's, I mean, like, I wanted to go in a different take where what happened with UConn these past few years? Coach Gino, who's like probably the GOAT women's coach, right? His last championship was 2016. And then these last 4 years where they've been ranked number one, they've lost in the Final Four. I don't know what it is. Even with someone as extraordinary as Paige Beckers, she's WNBA ready right now. And their performance against Arizona was extremely disappointing. They lost by 10, and they got outcoached and outplayed. Speaking of coaches, you got to give it up for Coach Adia Barnes, man. She's nursing a 6-month-old baby. She didn't know if she was gonna actually coach this season because she just gave birth, and she was supposed to have like a few weeks off. But I think she was 4 or 5 days after she gave birth, she was already on phone calls and Zoom calls with her team to strategize for the season, which ended up being a very successful and, as you guys mentioned, almost championship season. And it's awesome to see Stanford win. And one thing I wanted to mention is for both men's and women's, I am so proud of the Pac-12 for their performances. Women's Pac-12 versus Pac-12, and men's. I mean, there were 4 Pac-12 teams in the Sweet 16, 3 in the Elite 8, in the Elite 8, and it's one of those things where they were kind of disrespected in the rankings. UCLA, who went all the way up to the Final Four, ranked 11. They probably had the best 11, rank 11 performance in tournament history. And you guys saw in our chats how much I was rooting for UCLA the entire way. And I'll talk about a little bit more about Johnny Juice Juzang in our next segment when we talk about prospects. But man, I just wanted to talk about how disappointing that game was Saturday night. That Final Four game versus Gonzaga, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. I feel like that last second shot by Suggs, which was literally the play of the tournament. I think Gonzaga put all of their energy and effort into that win, and it was just so emotionally high for them that they came in like way underrepresented with no energy. I mean, that first possession, right? I think his name is that kid Vital, the big from Baylor. They missed like 3 times, and like I think Vital had three offensive boards, and he had like 8 offensive boards for the game. You know how many Gonzaga had for the entire championship game? 1. Timmy, who's been owning people, doing the stash dance after each and every single bucket, he looked like a little boy compared to the athleticism of Baylor. It was a complete mismatch. And it's one of those things that you might have to consider as Gonzaga as a school is, do you really want to continue playing in this conference where you're playing against lower mid-level schools, or switch over to a different conference, maybe the Pac-12 or a Midwest school conference, so that you can have better performances and have better competition during the season. Because yes, they had an all-time great offense and all-time great team, but I mean, just like the Patriots, what year was that, Mike? Versus the Giants.
Don't remind me.
I just had to bring that up because Mike's a well-known Tom Brady fan. Just like that, that performance by the Patriots, they look like probably one of the best teams ever. And then if you don't win the ring, then it don't mean nothing. And one of the things that it just showed was, I think the biggest difference was the physicality and just that thirst to win. And Baylor had that. And it looked like, I mean, honestly, I feel like UCLA would have had a way better chance against Baylor just because they were gritty the entire time. They beat both Michigan teams, Michigan State, Michigan, BYU, Abilene Christian, and then eventually lost to Gonzaga as an 11th seed. So overall, I mean, this was a bubble tournament. This was tough. I mean, there were a lot of the blue blood teams didn't show up. Literally, I mean, Duke wasn't there, Kentucky wasn't there, and so it was literally one of those tournaments that anyone could have won. I was just kind of surprised that it was a 1, a 1, a 2, and an 11. I thought it was going to be like a 4, an 8, a 15, and then but at the end of the day, I think it was a very successful tournament on both sides for both the women and the men, and I was very entertained. I mean, I think, as EJ mentioned, everyone's bracket was busted literally the first day, like the first hour. It was insane, and I loved every second of it. I hope more of the tournaments are this fun.
Absolutely, guys. Well, hey, thanks for your takes on that one. We're going to stay with NCAA right now. We have a few minutes left in this segment, but we'll get it done. So, we all know the NBA draft is coming this summer, and we had the pleasure of seeing a lot of talent, such as Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State. We had Baylor's Davion Mitchell, who we just spoke about just now, who's just killing it on both ends of the floor, and also UCLA's Johnny Juice Juzang turning a bunch of heads during the tournament. So I'm going to go around the room once again. Ken, please share with us some of your top NBA prospects real quick. Who you think's going to
hey, man. Johnny Juice. He went from being on no one's board to to be in at least a high a later end first round pick. So maybe he might even stay in LA with the Lakers or with the Clippers, as a late round first round pick. That guy averaged 22.8 points in the tournament. I mean, the year before, because he's a Kentucky transfer, right? In Kentucky, he averaged 2.9 points per game. So what I tell a lot of people that don't watch March Madness is that it's the time for legends to be born. And each tournament, there's at least one or two that go from like zero to hero. And Johnny Juice was that hero this year. I mean, it seemed like every time UCLA needed a bucket, he came through. And he's a 6'6" guard, and he's representing Asians everywhere. I mean, like this, I was extremely proud to see his performance, his drive. He sprained his ankle. I think it was against Michigan, and he was like out for a few minutes. Michigan came back, but then they ended up winning that game. It was an absolutely legendary performance, and I think, if they would have made it to the championship game, he might have been, the player of the tournament. But I mean, he's still the first team all tourney. So congrats to Johnny Juice. I think that he's going to be a first round draft choice.
Awesome. EJ, how about you, my man? Who do you think? Who are some of your top prospects in this year's draft?
Right. Again, I'm not no professional scout or anything, right? I'm pretty sure none of these guys are going to even make top 3, except maybe Jalen Suggs, who obviously played great the whole tournament. Drew Timme really showed his stuff as well. Johnny
EJ,
what's up?
Let me ask about, do you think Drew Timme is going to be an NBA quality big? Because I feel like he's more like a Mo Wagner, who's been in both of our teams.
Right.
Like undersized, and he's going to get bullied by the bigs. That's my take on it.
Well, I think he has a skill set that is that can be used in the NBA. I mean, again, I don't think he'll be a star, but I think he's good enough to make it into the league. I don't know how great. He's not going to have a great performance as he did in college, obviously. But the one big I think who could, and not a lot of people are talking about, is Luka Garza out of Iowa. This guy is bulky. I like his skill set. He played all 4 years in college, so I think he has the maturity. He has the right body already. I think his body is league ready, and he's already experienced. Averaged 24.1 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, and again, AP Player of the Year this year. And he finished his tenure there in Iowa. I don't know if he's going into the draft, but not a lot of people are talking about him. I think he's going to be slept. I consider him like a Domantas Sabonis type of player who can be physical under there. So I think he's one, and two dark horses from Oral Roberts, who made a huge splash in the tournament, are Max Asmus and Kevin O'Banner. They played great in the tournament. I hope they make some people's list, because I enjoyed watching them play, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, hey, great thoughts, you guys, but it's time for us to take a quick break. But when we come back, our panelists will give their takes on the recently released NBA Top 25 Under the Age of 25 list. When we come back, this is EBC Sports International.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explaining our help outdoor chat.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson, coming at you from the Emerald City in Seattle. So a list was recently released showcasing the top 25 NBA players under the age of 25. Dallas Mavericks guard Luka Doncic topped the list, while Phoenix Suns sharpshooter Devin Booker was number 8, which I disagree with wholeheartedly. EJ, I need to know, did they get this list right? What changes would you have made?
Man, I don't think they got this right at all. All of Twitter, if you look at all the comments, even on Instagram, they're like, what is going on with this list? Anyway, so they're putting a lot of respect on LaMelo Ball, who was ranked 3rd on the list, right? Yes, I like LaMelo Ball a lot. He's had a great year, and you know, I would have given him Rookie of the Year if he didn't get injured. It's just, I think they put him way too high on this list at number 3. You look at players under him as Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Ben Simmons, who's one of the top defenders in the league. These other guys have made a lot more accolades in the years that they have already played and shown in the NBA. And LaMelo's played, 30 games this year? I don't think it's enough to put him 3rd on the list. But De'Aaron Fox, I think, is ranked way too high at number 6. Again, just to name a few, Devin Booker, Jamal Murray, who proved himself in the playoffs, right? These guys made it to the Western Conference Finals behind this guy's back who was putting up 50, and they disrespect him and put him at number 13 on this list. I don't know about that one. That one's really a head turner for me. That one's the biggest one, Jamal Murray being ranked so low. I do agree Zion Williamson has the potential right now. He's kind of coming out of his shell now at this point of the season. He's showing that he can bully anyone in the league. I mean, this guy is one of the youngest guys in the league, and it doesn't matter. He's big and bulky. He can muscle his way down. He's the baby Shaq. And this guy who can fly high. And honestly, he can even stretch the three if his shot's going. I remember, I think his rookie year, his very first game against the Rockets, and he put up like 4 straight threes to bring him back in contention. And he's good, man. I think the potential is there. And Luka Doncic, hands down, number 1, top. I disagree with that. That one they got right, Luka Doncic at number 1. But the other guys, yeah, they got to do some rearranging over there.
Definitely. Brian, I need to get your thoughts. Agree, disagree with the list?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly disagree with this list. Just like with what EJ has been saying, I have no issues with Luka being number 1. I think that's undisputable. Luka has been lights out. He's been continuing his tear in the NBA, proving European players, haters wrong by putting up monster numbers. So that is undisputable. Number 2, we got Zion. I don't disagree with that. You know, that guy is baby Shaq, huge motor, pretty much unstoppable when running at the rim. Monty Williams' offense is pretty much designed for Zion. This guy has been putting up, I think, 24, 25 points a game for the entire season, shooting 60% from the field. And I don't think that has ever happened. That's kind of unheard of. That's like NBA history type numbers. So I would put Luka at 1 and Zion at 2. No disagreement with that. LaMelo at number 3. Yes, he's a great player. Yes, he is in the running for Rookie of the Year, no doubt. And he does make the Hornets such an exciting team to watch, a better team at that. His numbers would probably be up even higher if he were to get a starting position. However, this is, again, off of hype. There are so many other players who are just monstrously better. Just, this is kind of an unbelievable take to have LaMelo, a rookie, a 19-year-old, at number 3 over players like Spida Mitchell, over Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, like what EJ said, Jamal Murray, who really put it all on the line last season in the playoffs and put his team, the Nuggets, all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So I really disagree with LaMelo being number 3, like with what most sane people would also think. To think that Devin Booker, someone who's averaging 25 points a game, whose team is the number 2 seed in the Western Conference right now. A lot of that has to do with Chris Paul, yes, but this guy is a scoring machine, and he has proven himself time and again. Still, he still needs to be an all-star, but he should be top 5. That's just me, top 5 over Simmons, Fox, even Tatum for that matter. Yeah, I do not. And when you look even further down the list, it gets even more disrespectful when you see Ja Morant all the way at number 15. Come on. The Grizzlies are, in playoff contention right now. They're the number 8 team. They would probably be an even higher up in the playoff rankings if Morant didn't miss games, if some of the other rotational players didn't miss games. So that is just, I don't even know what to say about that one. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. This list could do a lot of rearranging.
Yeah. When they come out with lists like this, it's like no one can ever be happy, right? I mean, it's always such a subjective list because everybody has their own opinions, which is great, right? So, Ken, give me your thoughts. Where did they get it wrong? Where did they get it right?
Did LeVar Ball write this list? What's going on here, man? Like,
well, if he did, look where he put Lonzo. 24.
Well, he's still
strategic. Yeah. I think he was a ghostwriter, so it was like, you know what? I'm gonna pad this up, but I'm not gonna be too obvious with it, even though it really is. It's just like, dude, LaMelo Ball is gonna miss probably at least half the season, and being this high on this list for a guy that, yes, he is, I would say, going to be the future of the league, the future of the Hornets, at least. You know, he just has that modern basketball feel. Absolutely, he's going to be awesome. But number 3 on a list that has like a future legends who have a higher ceiling than him. I mean, and currently a high. I don't know what are they even going for here. I mean, like what are the parameters to this list? Like, what's the rubric? Because I just don't understand where everyone's at. I mean, you guys have brought it up, but like the glaring ones is yes, De'Aaron Fox is having a career year. Yes, but at the same time too, the Kings are probably not going to make the playoffs. I mean, like if like look at Ben Simmons like leading his team. I believe they're still number 1, right, on the East, or is it in the Nets now, or they're tied? Right,
Sixers are number 1.
I mean, Sixers is number 1, and that was a lot without Joel Embiid, and that was the time when Ben Simmons really showed that he can carry a team on his own. I mean, not on his
without
own,
a jumper.
Without a jumper. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? And so like this guy's all NBA defense. I mean, it's for him to be under De'Aaron Fox. And even Jason Tatum, who's, yes, is having a great offensive year, but man, that entire team just I don't know what it is. Like, do they not want to play defense? What's going on here?
Something.
I mean, I just feel like that team is. I mean, that's not the Celtics that I know. I mean, I'm glad that they're this bad as a Lakers fan, but I mean, one thing I do want to bring up is that next year, for a fact, John Morant's going to be way higher in this list. Anthony Edwards is going to be way higher on this list. And I'm saying this now. First want to say Tyrese Halliburton is going to be way up higher on this list. That kid is going to be a star. He passes the eye test for me. And I feel like there's just hoopers out there. And this guy is a hooper. I mean, what is he averaging right now? He's averaging only 13, 3, and 5. But if you watch him on the court, you can tell that, I mean, he's in a team full of scorers. He has Buddy Hield and he has De'Aaron Fox on his team. But you put him on a team where he has to score a little bit more. This guy is going to put up buckets. He is a hooper. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is speaking back on John Morant. I think right now he's still a better player than Michael Porter Jr. Even though Michael Porter Jr. looks like a better NBA prospect, John Morant is absolutely a better player at 15 versus Michael MPJ at 14.
Absolutely. Well, only one way to find out is they continue to play, but all these players are definitely going to be the future of the NBA. So staying with the NBA, we have veteran point guard Rajon Rondo, playoff Rondo, who was recently traded to the Los Angeles Clippers for Lou Williams this past week. Since the trade, the Clippers have been playing at a high level, having a 4-1 record, including an impressive victory last night against the Phoenix Suns. Brian, was this recent trade made for Rondo going to put the Clippers over the top? Give me your thoughts.
So I don't necessarily think that Rondo is going to put the Clippers over the top. I don't think it's enough. We say this all the time. Every time he goes to a different team, we said this when he was on the Lakers. Rondo's too old, but he will always make a difference in the playoffs. That goes without saying. That's where he gets that nickname from. But the only thing is, I don't think it's enough. I don't think it makes them any better than the Lakers. I honestly don't think it even makes them better than the Nuggets, for that matter. They had those type of players. They had those role players who were better than Rondo, and look what happened. In the semifinals with the Nuggets, they trounced them. So, I mean, I think we might see more of the same if they're going to go with the same game plan. But what I want to say, another thing I want to say on the positive end with Rondo is that he is one of the greatest floor generals, one of the greatest passers of all time. We all know that. And he's still good enough to contribute on an NBA team, which is why he was so wanted on the Clippers. What I think he will bring to the table is more passing, because the Clippers lacked so much of that for the entire season. And on top of that, Rondo brings a little bit of leadership, which is something that the Clippers also lack. So those are the kind of two factors that Rondo brings to the table. Yes, Rondo will make the Clippers a better team, but will it bring them over the top? I do not think so. No.
Got it. Now we have to hear from the biggest Clippers fan in the panel, Ken Cruz.
Oh, goodness.
We need
John. You're not disrespect. You're just. You know what? This is empty right now, but I'm just gonna carry this while I'm talking about this whole time because
you won a championship for you guys. So,
don't get me wrong. I love me some Rondo. Go ahead. Sorry, what were you gonna ask me?
No, I was gonna ask you. Do you think he'll be able to raise the game of backboard P and Kawhi when it matters?
I think Paul George probably has the most nicknames in league history. I feel like every game there's a nickname for him. I mean, last night he had 33 points. So, but speaking specifically about Rondo, I think he hates Chris Paul. I mean, I feel like every time he plays CP3, this guy just decides to just have. Or if he's in national television, I don't know what it is. This guy just shows up when obviously he's going to show up in the playoffs, but he shows up in nationally televised games, and he shows up against Chris Paul. Last night, he had 15 and 9 in 19 minutes. So that just goes to show that this guy still has it. And then you'll have him maybe like the next 4 games, he'll sit one out. And then he'll have like a 7 and 2. This guy is just he can literally put it on at any time, and then at the same time too he could just coast at any time. The thing that is essential for this Clippers team is for him to be healthy come playoff time, and I think that's where it gets dangerous. Is because Rondo is always hurt. Pat Beverly is always hurt, and if you guys saw that play against Chris Paul yesterday, that was absolutely disgusting. I already passionately dislike Pat Beverly. Not even as a player, but as a person, I just feel like he's a bad person. I mean, like, who does that? Who does that to these?
He's your favorite player.
No, I mean, like if you go on Reddit and you see these threads, even Clipper fans can't defend this guy's actions. It's just I just don't understand. Yeah, at least Bruce Bowen actually has skills on the floor. Pat Beverly is just a goon. Yesterday he played 17 minutes. Guess how many points? Guess how many points? 0.
Hey, EJ, I wanted to get your quick take on Rondo. Do you think he will do enough to bring the Clippers to the promised land?
I think it's a little bit of an overrated acquisition, right? Like a lot of people are talking about how Rondo is going to change that. Nah, I don't think so. Brian did bring up a good point. The team lacks leadership. Kawhi is not a vocal leader, right? So they need someone who can really dictate them and who's been there before, won several championships, and he has proven time and time again that he shows up in the playoffs when they need it the most. Again, he needs to stay healthy, like Ken said, but I think it's not enough. I mean, they did need a player like Rondo, but I don't think it's enough to get them over the West. Now, they had to trade out Lou Williams, who was instant offense for them. They do have a lot of scorers, though, in the Clippers, so, I'm not worried about that aspect. So I think it does make them a better team. To put it over the top, though, Rondo is not the answer. I like other acquisitions like Andre Drummond for the Lakers or Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets. I think those are better acquisitions compared to this Rondo one.
Absolutely. Well, Clippers are currently second in the West right now. We'll see if he'll continue to bring success to him. So great takes, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to reminisce on some EBC Sports memories. So don't go anywhere. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
Essential or non-essential, lugaw and other food has always been a vital part of our culture. Our food defines our heritage, connects communities, bridges differences, and unites us as a nation. We are celebrating Food Filipino Month this April that aims to promote and preserve local culinary and the role they play in Filipino culture and heritage.
When we are talking about the food itself, it's basically essential. And one major type of food is lugaw or arroz caldo. Kailangan balikan natin yung whys natin. And ano pa ba yung gusto mong marating? As long as you have that discipline. And number one, yung strategy. Importante kasi dito, diskarte ngayon.
Jam Melchor, the founder of the Philippine Culinary Heritage Movement, will share his thoughts on why we are commemorating the importance of Filipino cuisine and how it helps us create our identity as Filipinos in this episode of Open for Business.
In good shape. Isn't that how we'd all like to be? But how can you be truly fit? And how can you stay truly healthy right up into your golden years? And truly have fun while doing it.
In good shape.
Passengers here are in for a ride. Taxi drivers here need nerves of steel, while passengers here can get an eyeful along the way. Rev taxis accommodate passengers all over the world. The Driver, our series.
Rev.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. This is EBC Sports International. So as we stated early in the show, today marks our 1-year anniversary of the starting of our EBC Sports Home Edition. So doing this format. So I just wanted to take a moment and just, want to thank our team at the Philippines, as well as our leaders here in the States who work so hard and give us so much of their effort in making this show a huge success. So just wanted to give them a round of applause as well.
Yep.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, sir. Real MVP, guys.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I wanted to go around real quick and just ask what were some of your favorite memories that stood out so far this past year. So Ken, you're one of the longest standing guys here, so you can go ahead and go first.
A 1-year OG. So as I mentioned, happy anniversary. And before I talk about some memories, I want to shout out to all the fans and audience members that actually watch this. With us being here stateside, we don't see ourselves on TV. I've had some family members screenshot and take pictures of me on TV, and I have not seen any of these episodes. So if you've been watching for this past year, I've seen one or all of our episodes. Thank you so much for your support. As far as some moments, it's been a very awesome, interesting time. I mean, with us not being in person and doing everything in our own homes. I think one of my favorite times, I was mentioning it over the break, was when our colleague Amin Aljaman was filming outside. He probably has the funniest backdrop sets. He'll film with his closet. He'll film in a volleyball gym, and then he'll film in his patio with people walking by. And then the funniest one is when he filmed in his car. And I think we filmed at 7 p.m. Pacific PSD, and the sun was going down, and so like the show started nice and bright, and then by like midway through the show, he was so dark you couldn't even make out his facial features, and we were just laughing, and I was like, I can't believe this guy decided to film outside. So the rule is you can't film outside, and that was thanks to our colleague Alsman. Thank you, Ahmed.
Yeah, before I go to EJ, one of my memories for me was, Ken. I remember when we were first even talking about doing a show like this, like we would just like brainstorm. We're just like, man, we want to be like, those guys on, the sports channel networks and debate. And we even did one. We shot one because I remember I was in my garage. It was like cold, and we were talking about.
Yeah.
Was it 2017 or something like that? So
a long time ago. And then we're talking March Madness today now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that prepared us for today. So that was definitely some fun times. EJ, how about you, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been an honor being on the show with you guys. I mean, you guys are the long-standing pros, like you guys have mentioned. You guys have been here since day one. I joined in a little bit, halfway through, but I am happy to be part of this family talking sports with you guys. And a lot of the memories that stick with me are the stuff that happens off air. Well, actually, it happened on air, but it gets cut, right? Because one of my favorite memories is when Mike, you were hosting, and you gave us assignments on what stories to do, and you were tossing it to Ken, and Ken goes, "Oh, that story." Yeah, sorry guys, I don't have that story. So we ended up having to cut that from the take. That was hilarious.
The look on his face, like a deer in the headlights. When he was just like,
right. I wish you guys could have seen what was happening, because Ken looked like he was about to just freestyle it and start saying a report from the top of his head on the subject he didn't research.
I have never gone from cool to sweaty so fast in my life, guys.
It was hilarious. That was definitely one of my favorite moments. The other one was also with Ken. It was when we were recording, I don't know if you remember, Mike, we were recording New Year's greetings, and Ken didn't submit his yet. So the ones in the Philippines said, okay, we'll record it right now, when the show is done. And all of us were just making faces at him, on the thing. I even brought this guy up and had him stare at Ken. It was just so random. They couldn't stop laughing. It's hilarious, man. The behind the scenes stuff, definitely, with the Philippines, the ones controlling the show, and with you guys, man, it's just so funny. And like I said, it's an honor being a part of the team now here at EBC Sports International.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to work with all of you guys. And I think, Brian, it's safe to say that today was your favorite memory. So we'll mark that for the history books. All right. So we wanted to end our show. We can never end our show without doing our question of the week. So if you didn't know, guys, Green Bay quarterback legend Aaron Rodgers recently hosted a popular TV show, Jeopardy, this past week. He did a pretty good job, I have to say. He was pretty cool, calm, collected, knew what he was doing, didn't mess up, so he did well. So my question to you guys is, if you could guest host for any game show, what would it be? Brian, we'll start with you.
If it would be a game show, oh man, I would probably, not necessarily a game show. If it were to be a game show, it would be like one of those, those crazy Japanese game shows where they just kind of force people to go through body shaped holes, and if not, they have to if they don't, then they go into like a pool of water. But there's this really cool talk show that I've been watching. It's called Hot Ones. It's on YouTube. I would probably host that one. I get to just chill out with some celebrities while eating some hot wings. Pick their brains, ask them some deep questions, and have some fun. So that's probably the show that I would guest host.
How about you, EJ?
Man, there's a lot. I mean, I'm a fan of Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud for game show. But if I were to host any show, man, I'd bring it back to early 2000s during America's Best Dance Crew. Man, I would love to host America's Best Dance Crew alongside with Mario Lopez.
Ken, how about you, man?
It has to be early 2000s. Joe Rogan. Fear Factor for sure. It would be. Yeah. I mean, just what? Like, I would probably be vomiting along with the client, with the contestants, like having all these Madagascar cockroaches on you, eating a bunch of spiders. I would just be on for the second round just to watch and talk about it, but I would not be about it.
Oh yes. Well, for me, I'd have to do Price is Right. That's just, I want to have like the long microphone, the little small microphone, and I just want to know what it feels like to have that. So.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah. That's
all right, guys.
classic.
Well, hey, appreciate your time this week. This is this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you for joining us, and make sure to tune in with us next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.